Hi beautiful people. So I'm just gonna sit down and chat with you about something I've been thinking about since like December-ish time. The reason I'm finally actually talking to you about it is because A, I feel like I've started to do this in my videos, what I'm gonna share with you. And B, I saw this movie called Unplanned this weekend, which was phenomenal. Like seriously, it wasn't cheesy, wasn't poorly made, low budget, bad acting, all that. No, like seriously, oh my goodness, it blew me away. I really didn't think it was going to be as good as it was. Like I knew the story was really good, and just the testimony they shared of Abby Johnson, I knew that was an amazing story, but I did not think that they would weave it all together and like produce it as well as they did. Like it was amazing. So if you have not seen it, I would encourage you to go see it. It's called Unplanned. It's in major theaters everywhere, so go see it before it leaves the theater. So anyway, that movie really pushed me to finally like sit down and say this, because that movie just unapologetically shines a light into such a dark industry, not just like Planned Parenthood itself, but just all kind of clinics involved in the abortion industry. It shines a light on it and speaks against it, which right now is not something that is well liked. Like a lot of people are pro-choice. A lot of people don't, claim to be pro-life. Like that is, you go against kind of the flow of everyone else right now. If you say, no, you know what, I believe that life begins at conception, blah, blah, I'm pro-life, all that, like that is not popular. That is not a popular opinion whatsoever. And so this movie is just a testament to being bold and sharing your faith and sharing what you believe to be true without apologizing for it. Like it's just so good. And so I'm finally like, okay, this is the last push that I need to just sit down and say, you know what, here's the change that's gonna be happening to my channel, okay? Some of you probably figured it out by the context that I just set up with you right there, but some of you have noticed too, by the way, which I love you guys. You guys are so observant and just like, it's so funny how you guys know things before I even like say it. But anyway, I have decided that I would like to be more bold on my channel and share things that I've been too afraid to talk about, and say my opinion without feeling like I need to say, okay, but I don't want to offend anyone, and this is what I think, but it's okay if you don't agree. And just, I used to be so scared. And like, if you watch old videos of mine, a lot of times I said phrases like that, not word for word. I don't think I ever said, oh, I don't want to offend you. I've said things like, I don't want to make you feel judged and blah, blah, blah. But like, that's kind of just the overall vibe I gave, was just like, I don't want to, I don't want to step any toes, and I was just very walk on eggshells-y because of, I honestly think that like, for me, it is partly like, I didn't want, I'm a people pleaser, so I wanted people to like me, but like also I really do truly try to be nice to everyone and like get along with everyone. And it's sometimes for me difficult to feel like I can be both bold and kind at the same time. But that is exactly what we're called to do, is to speak the truth in love. And love does not mean that you have to just be like timid, right? In fact, boldness is a quality that Jesus had, and he's the one who calls us to live in this this lifestyle of living in truth and love. And so here's the deal, okay? I have a couple major influences in my life right now, okay? Abby Johnson, who is the woman that the movie's about, Unplanned, and Allie Beth Stuckey, who I've talked about probably 3 or 4 times now. These women are so bold about abortion and also other topics too. Like they're both sold out Christians, just awesome women who I really look up to. And I need people to look up to in my life who are bold like that, because in today's culture where it's so, it's okay to believe what you believe, but don't share it. And, if you basically like don't agree with what everyone else thinks about gender and marriage and abortion and literally anything, if you don't agree with that, you better keep that to yourself. Otherwise, be as open about it as you want. Put little pictures of what you think and little descriptions of what your political beliefs are in your bio, as long as they're not conservative, as long as they're not traditional, as long as they're not Christian, right? It can be anything else, but don't talk about it if you're a Christian. Don't talk about it if you don't agree with what culture thinks about all of those things. Those women, Allie and Abby, are not afraid to go against the grain, and I love them for that. And so for me, on my channel, the biggest thing that I have felt since December that God has been kind of slowly like pushing, like saying, Becca, okay, I want you to do this, is to be more bold, share about topics that I'm passionate about, and do it in a way that is in both truth and love, and in boldness too. So with that being said, I am going to, it's a little bit scary to say this because I know I've already talked about abortion in the beginning of this video, but I really do want to make a couple of videos on it, at least one video on abortion. The thing I want to talk about the most is like what I do about abortion, like what we can as Christians, like if you are pro-life, what kinds of things can you do to actually help the women who have had them, or stop women from getting them, or whatever it is. Like there's different things, and I'm gonna really sit down and work on this video before I put it out there. Like this is one that's going to take a lot of time, but I want to talk about like what we can do about this, and how we can love the women who are or thinking about getting one, or who have gotten them, or the women in the industry itself, like what we can do about that. That's a video that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I with everything going on in politics and this movie and like everything like that, I really want to talk about it. And that is something that I never would have talked about until this year, because it was just very intimidating, because it's a topic that people just, I mean, most people are not pro-life. At least it feels that way. So that's what I'll say. It feels that way in media and online. It seems like most people are pro-choice, and I want to kind of speak my opinion on that, even though it might not be well liked. Okay, and that's the thing that I'm going to say is I used to be very scared of offending people. I thought that was rude, and I didn't think that was kind. But then I read all about what Jesus talked about to the Pharisees and how he called them out. Okay, in Luke 11, the verses with the Pharisees and Jesus always crack me up. There's a verse where Jesus is talking about, okay, the Pharisees are hypocrites or whatever, like calling them out as usual on different things. And I have this verse highlighted because I just think it's so funny. Okay, Luke 11:45 says this. One of the experts in the law answered him, "Teacher, when you say these things, you insult us also." And there are many other verses where it literally uses the word offense. Like Jesus, his disciples came to him after he kind of called out the Pharisees, and the disciples were like, Jesus, like, you just offended the Pharisees. You realize that? And Jesus was like, yeah, I was calling them out on their sin. You know, people don't like to be called out on their sin. And so with that, I'm just going to say this, okay? Jesus offended people. And it's not like I'm going to sit here and try intentionally to offend people and to make people angry and to start a fight necessarily. That's not my intention here at all. My intention is to share my beliefs about Jesus unapologetically, like to say what I believe in like as much as possible in a way that is loving, in a way that's truthful and bold. Yes, as well. But really, I'm not going to worry so much like, oh my gosh, what if I offend someone? Okay, because Jesus did offend people. It wasn't his goal and his major like thing that he was trying to chase. It's like, oh, can I offend these people today? He came to earth to call people out on their sin and to save them for it. And that's like for us, like our job is to share about the gospel, to share about what Jesus did and about how you can live for him. Okay, and that's the thing is the gospel is offensive. I heard this from Allie. Okay, she was like, you know, people don't like the gospel because it doesn't matter who you are, your gender, your race, your socioeconomic status, where you're from, whatever it is. Like, you are a sinful person. You have sinned, and that is something that you can't change. And the only thing that can change that is accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Like, that's just a fact. People don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear they're a sinner. We want to think and believe that we are good people. We don't deserve hell. We don't, you know, we've done a few things wrong, but we're mostly perfect. All that. We try to justify things when really, like, there's no one who has never sinned. There's no one who could ever compare to Jesus and to God. Like, one day we'll all stand before him, and, you know, we're I don't know where I was going with that, but regardless, we don't really have a choice. We're all going to stand before God one day. You know, one day every knee will bow at the name of Jesus, and the only thing that we can kind of control is, are we going to accept the gospel, or are we going to say, you know what, I don't want to follow him. I don't want to live for him. I want to live for myself. Like, we have that choice to make. And so with that being said, I hope that you can kind of tell I'm slowly starting to become more bold and doing a little bit more intimidating topics, more controversial, not to stir up trouble, not to make fights happen and all of that, but because I truly feel like God is calling me to be more bold and use this platform to share about things that are difficult to talk about. So with that being said, thanks for listening to my ramble, especially at the end. That's what happens when you're tired and it's a Wednesday. It's only Wednesday, but I'm a teacher and it's almost May, and that usually means kids get a little bit more, I don't want to say crazy, but just energetic. That's a nice one for it instead. Okay, energetic. But anyway, I love you, and thank you for watching my little rambling, talking video today. Have a great day, and know that you are so loved and so beautiful.
Give me your heart, give me your soul, sing it with all your might. Come to the fountain and you can be satisfied. Can you tell